Hey world, I ain't me no more. Here to tell you about who I used to be, but more importantly, who I am now. And right now, I'm sitting here in my own thoughts, full of regret, like probably the biggest regret of my life. I know I shared the video yesterday about when I walked away from an argument with my husband, thinking that was a big win, when God let me know it was actually a loss. My assignment, and in order to pass the test, was not to walk away in that moment, but to cover my husband in love in that moment, to put my arms around him, to tell him everything was going to be all right, to pray for him even. But instead, I saw biting my tongue and not engaging and walking away as a win. Ooh, I have self-control. I didn't let him get to me. I'm celebrating a win, which is a loss. And God was right. Of course, God's always right. But I missed an opportunity to show God's love. But I think about all of the times I did engage. And with my kids in the home, to hear it. And even when the kids aren't there to witness arguments between their parents, they can feel that tension, that energy, that toxicity. And so I sat here and I wrote the question, why do we sacrifice our children's mental health, well-being, development, and growth by staying in toxic relationships? Why do we make our babies inhale the poisonous fumes? I'm thinking back to my relationships, even my relationship that I did my video on, of which I was physically, mentally, sexually abused for years. And I stayed in that. I chose to stay in that. We choose to stay in situations, okay? We always have a choice. But sometimes we don't like what the outcome or the consequences of that choice may be. But we always have a choice, and I chose to stay in toxic relationships, sacrificing my children all the while. I hear people say they stay in relationships because of their children, all the while they should leave the relationship because of their children. And I look at my choice to stay, for whatever reasons, how damaging it has been to my children. This is the year of accountability. This is the year of accountability. Gloves off with this channel. Gloves off. I stayed in toxic relationships that I knew I should have left. Yes, our responsibility is to nurture our children, love our children, protect our children. It's also to show our children love. And just loving up on them and kissing them and telling them we love them. And, that's one form. Keeping a roof over their head, clothes on their back, and food on the table. That's law. That ain't love. That's law. Okay? But also showing them love in how we act and how we move. And it's not showing our children love when we keep them suffocated in toxic environments. How is that love? And I hear the new generation saying how the previous generations, their parents' generations, messed them up. And I used to have arguments and debates with my children about how we didn't, how they have a choice to move past that. And yes, they do. But we did mess them up. We kept them. And when I say we, I'm not talking about everybody. If this applies to you, hear me well. See yourself in me and change and do something about it. But we messed them up when we keep them and have them bear witness to toxic relationships. They are inhaling the fumes. It's stunting their growth. We got one job: to love, to teach our children to love, to lead and show by example. And when we choose to stay in these toxic relationships, we are sacrificing our children. I know the last time I did a video on sacrificing children, I immediately lost a couple of subscribers. Oh, well. Oh, well. The truth hurts, and the truth will have you lose subscribers. But like I say you a lot, but y'all have to keep in mind, I'm looking at myself in a camera. And the message is always for the messenger first. Oh my gosh, that is like one of my greatest regrets. Why do we sacrifice our children's mental health, well-being, development, and growth by staying in toxic relationships? Why do we make our babies inhale the poisonous fumes? Why? If you're in this home and you know carbon monoxide is flowing through, would you not get your babies out? Would you not save them? Would you not get them out? We leave them here to inhale the fumes. We're killing their spirits. Why did I sacrifice my children by keeping them in toxic environments that I was playing a role in? Okay? It takes two to tango. It takes two to rumble. I was playing a role. As a matter of fact, I played the biggest role in creating a toxic environment in my home. I told y'all I was operating under the influence. Read the description on this channel. Not the influence of drugs and alcohol, the influence of the spirit of manipulation, the spirit of deception, controlling and manipulating a narrative, sharing what I wanted to share of the story that could shape someone else's opinion. You'll need to unlock your iPhone on first. What was going on. I'm not talking to you, Siri. Every time she even thank you saying her name. But because I was under the influence, I didn't even realize I was the culprit. I didn't even realize I was really the one who had the biggest role in creating the toxic environment. But I've been watching the media with more well-known personalities and let's just be real, women, okay, women, how they are manipulating scenarios to make the other person look bad, to make the men in their lives look bad, to make the baby daddy look bad. But boy, if the camera was rolling to show the effect, okay, so the effect may be the baby daddy did this. The effect may be the husband did that. And I'm just speaking to my sisters right now. So don't come in my comment section talking about, well, men do it too. Somebody else's video is probably talking about men. I'm talking about women right now. But we rarely share the cause. Probably because we play some role in that cause, or we are the cause of that result. That we created a situation, a scenario, a narrative, our truth. I'm very skeptical when people start talking about my truth, because, honey, I know what my truth is. It ain't always God's truth. When somebody says, well, that's my truth, or I'm just sharing my truth, or I'm just owning my truth, and I'm not trying to downplay anybody, but I am a woman who's keeping it real, who is taking accountability for the bitterness, the nastiness, the anger, the manipulating narratives and situations, making another person look like the villain when it's really you. And it's so crazy because I can see it. You try the spirit by the spirit, so I can see it in women now. I can see it. And I refuse to champion nonsense. I refuse to champion nonsense. But you can really take reality TV for an example. The nastiest woman, the most evil, they always become the most popular. They always become the most loved and not hated, because you cheering on that mess because you doing it. You cheering on that mess because you doing it. Oh, she read her I love the read. Why? That was nasty. That was mean. And you love that? Seriously? Because if we didn't love it, we'd be hating ourselves. If we didn't love the shenanigans, if we didn't love the nonsense, if we didn't love the fighting, the bitterness, the hate, then we'd be hating ourselves. It's not always about liking the character, liking the person, but being like the character, being like the person. And having gone through this transformation and God playing the 8mm film of my life back to me, showing me where I came into agreement and covenant with those evil spirits and principalities that I was under the influence of, I can see it in other women. I can see it in other women. Again, this isn't about men. I'm not a man. That's God's not, that's not my assignment. My assignment is with this channel is so that women see themselves in me and take accountability. And I know there's a percentage of y'all out there. Y'all ain't never been evil, mean, bitter, mad, angry, manipulative, deceptive a day in y'all's life. But for those who have, I'm here so that you can see yourself in me. Stop it. Stop it. You may not be where you have been called to be in life because of you. Because of you. Manipulating situations and scenarios. And I'm about to just throw this out there, using witchcraft. But when you under the influence, you don't even know you using witchcraft. I had no idea I was using witchcraft when I got my husband 30 years ago. That's a whole nother video, y'all. I'm telling y'all, I have no choice but to be accountable for my actions. That's my assignment with this channel. I have to keep it 100 real, but I'm going to keep it holy. Wow. Is all I can say is wow. And it's not easy, I'm still working on surrendering the guilt, the shame, the embarrassment, and the humiliation, because I know Jesus already bared that for me, but it'd be hard. It'd be hard when I look at how I could be at God's promise if I hadn't have been my own weapon. You know, no weapon formed against you shall prosper, but if you're the weapon, you shall not prosper. That's me. Steadily praying, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, but I was the weapon, which means I couldn't prosper. I couldn't get to God's promise. I couldn't be in life where I knew I was supposed to be in life, and I could not figure out why. I could not figure out why. Who was it? What was it? And it was me. And I'm telling y'all, God showed me my life on an 8mm film. Back to when I was young, showing me where I went into covenant and agreement with these spirits and started operating under them. I've had to apologize to my husband. I've had to apologize to my children. Some of them, they're just, too young to really understand all of it. So based on their age, I shared as much as I could. But I was the weapon that was keeping not just myself, but my family from prospering. That is hard. That is one heck of a cross to bear. I'm telling y'all, it weighs on me mentally, physically. Some days I can't even get out of the bed thinking about how life could be so differently, how I could have reached God's promise sooner had I been obedient, had I not been operating under the influence. Woo-wee. But thank God we serve a God who, he don't make you go back to go and collect $200 or whatever.